We just start, Senator. Good morning. Your take.
Hey, good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sabrina.
All right, let's jump right into it. Your reaction to this Attorney General opinion on the issue of double pay.
I'm not in agreement with it, but it did come from our legal officer of Guam. But I have some disagreement of it because just the way it was written. If you have a copy of the opinion in front of you, just go to page 3 of 6. And the way it reads is basically, Governor, close the agency, but I'm not going to pay for anybody that comes into work, unless, if you notice it states when the governor declares the appointing authority shall determine whether, and so forth and so forth. So it's the appointing authority who is appointed by the governor. Wow. So the employees now can actually look at the director and says, director, you called me in because I'm essential, but until you declare me to be entitled to the double pay, I won't get my double pay. That's really what it comes down to, and that's not fair. It's not fair to any director when the directors are appointed by the governor, confirmed by the legislature. Their job is to do and is to lead that agency through whatever times we go through, normal and disaster. And because it states here, the appointing authority is the one that is going to determine double pay, then, wow, why don't the governor just lead? Lead because you're in charge and just pay. And if you want to ask the question, Chris or Sabrina, where would they get the money? Well, you know what? On the CARES funding, they identified $29 million to pay for compensation. $29 million should be able to cover the double pay. And just pay it and move away and walk away. Get it done. Better manage next time for any disaster. Come up with a plan. Execute it. And if you need extra, you got the transfer authority, Governor. Transfer what you need. Let's pay our GovGuam employees just compensation.
Well, I think we have a plan. We just haven't stuck with it or followed it.
Yeah, because if you look at the gosh, when I read his opinion, I'm like, okay, we're going to say now when they deal with GMH or GPD, yeah, they're not closed. Of course not. But at GMH, the biggest word was stay at home. If you feel sick, call your doctor. If not, call public health. Call everybody else, but don't go to GMH. But they didn't say that. Don't go to GMH. But basically, GMH was not available to the people of Guam unless you were diagnosed to have that disease. That virus. But we're going to say that those are not essential, but they're essential, but they're not essential for double pay. But they're essential for everything else. Wow. And then, you turn around and you look at the other agencies that are out there, Sabrina and Chris, you have revenue and tax people. I need you to come in because I need you to process the tax refund. But you're not essential. We need to take care of the stimulus, but you're not essential. Really, that's what it's saying. Until the director says they're essential. Let's go down to public works. We can go down the list on every agency that was technically closed or generally closed. Maybe I shouldn't use the word technical, but the word generally closed. If I call you in, that doesn't mean you're essential. So don't expect double pay. Wow, really? I don't know. As a director, if I was a director, I would stand up for my people because that's what they are. They're my staff, and I would have been like most agencies did. They only called in who they believe would carry the mission and fulfill what is needed. Like DOA, you had people come in from DOA to process to hire people, but they're not essential. Really? But we'll blame it on the director because you're not declaring them to be essential to receive the double pay. That's why I don't agree with this. And the funny part is this is a rule created, promulgated, and implemented by DOA. So for the AG to say, well, the legislature has the power. Yes, the legislature can change the laws. That's no doubt in anybody's mind. We don't need an AG opinion for that. Mm-hmm. But DOA, that's the rule that you've engaged in. That's the rule that you could have changed. But to change it midstream, wow. Yeah. Without any AAA or anything, wow, it's amazing. Mm-hmm. But, like I've told you before, Sabrina, is that I guess the quote of the day now, it is what it is, but I'm not in agreement with this, and I'm going over it, and I'm going to be seeking my staff and asking for legal opinion and what direction we need to go. We need to just provide just compensation to all the employees that had to come in. They didn't have a choice. They couldn't stay home and barbecue or watch Netflix. They had to come into work. And they were all in line of catching the COVID. There's no doubt about it. Every time anybody goes on the road and anybody has to goes in the office, we don't know where it's at.
Senator, if we were paying double pay, would directors be eligible for double pay?
Well, if the last time I heard, I think the governor said they're not going to pay.
No. But if we were paying double pay, would directors be eligible to be paid double pay if they were working?
They could be, but you have to remember, okay, the governor is going to identify that. You know, I give you a good example, okay? If the governor felt that you need to open, but directors, I'm not going to declare you for double pay. Can you handle that? I mean, I don't know. If I was a director working for the governor, my people would be first before me. That's just how I would work. Take care of my people. Don't worry about me. I make 100,000, 80,000, whatever. I'm okay. Let's do what we need to do, and let's take care of. I would say I want my people taken care of first, and then just give me some time off. I'll take leave or whatever. But I've worked that with the governor.
No, I was just curious if cabinet members were eligible for double pay, and if they weren't eligible for double pay, we just scrapped the whole thing with paying out double pay so that we can create this differential pay so that these directors could get paid the differential pay. I'm just wondering if that's kind of like what we're looking at.
And then backing on that, Senator, what did you think of the AG's opinion saying that compensation is something that the legislature sets by policy, but then he didn't address that the governor's executive order sets compensation with the COVID differential pay? So I'm thinking, if you guys ask for opinion on that, what's his opinion on that going to be?
Well, it wouldn't matter now because, he's already stated that we're the only one can decide it. Then why is the executive order then directing any other compensation? I mean, it contradicts itself. So that's why I'm like, it's not like I sent this request in for interpretation yesterday. It's been a couple of weeks, and then things have been happening, executive orders out there. I mean, he cites executive orders. Well, then what? Well, as you cite that we decide, not the governor, then why do you even allow in this interpretation? I mean, maybe because I didn't ask that. But I didn't ask you either to tell me that GMH is not closed. I mean, I didn't ask you that. I asked you very specifically, are employees entitled to double pay? And you did cite that it's the appointing authority that has to declare that. So, okay, directors, declare your people as essential, that you ordered them to come in. They didn't have a choice. They were told, report to work. And move on. And if the source of payment they're looking for, the CARES funding identified $29 million. Take the $29 million, pay the government employees just compensation, and move on. And let's work on everything else we need to work on. And actually, AG, tell us that the executive order is not applicable to pay, because why? We, the legislature, will decide what just compensation would be.
I think that should be your next play. Hey, what about this executive order? If you say the legislature sets compensation and policy or whatever, what about this executive order?
The only thing I worry about, Chris, is that it took this many days to get a response. Can you imagine? I write another request. It's going to take, just as much? And the government employees continue to not receive just compensation. I honestly believe that the GFT and everybody else that's going to court on this, they'll probably have their day in court before I even get a response. But I am going to be looking at that and asking, since Mr. Levin, you've added on other things. Well, why don't we ask you then about everything else? It's kind of like, don't add something that was never intended to be added. But I guess it was to justify the number of days that we had to wait for this. From what I believe, what is actually based on the way I'm reading it, it really was a 3-pager. It became a 6-pager.
Well, I think because they were only open for an hour a few weeks ago, so maybe come in, work on it for 10 minutes, and then work on something else. And
No, honestly, Chris, the word I'm getting is that even the AG's office was open, but they had to open because they have investigated. There's things that every agency has to fulfill, and they're essential. You know, you've got the child support. You got a bunch of folks in there to address this AG opinion. They have to address this, and you know, all I want to say is, really, Chris, we're going to point now the direction that it's the appointing authority, not the governor. It's the appointing authority. So every director, take note. If anybody doesn't get do double pay, it is not the governor. It's nobody else. It's you, because the AG said that. It's on page 3 of 6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw.
Let us see.
But what about?
You
know, at the very end, though, he also basically threw it over to the legislature. I mean, you could go in and you can change the law. You can go override Bill 324. So
326.
326. So what? You guys planning on doing anything, or we're just gonna go with this AG opinion?
At this, Sabrina, is that 326 added additional compensation. I just wanted to address first the basic rule that's there. What's written in the rule. What every GovGuam employee must adhere to. And gosh, directors, you have a responsibility. Let's start with that. Now, going forward to the Bill 326 or anything else, yes, that'll be left to the legislature. Now, if it comes up for vote, you can't even fulfill this requirement on the rule. And DOA director, you chose now to change the rules without any input from anybody. Last time I checked, any rule and everything that, you know, any policy that has to change, if it requires a AAA, do so. If it requires legislature's input, please ask. But to just do things on your own and say, no, well, this is how we interpret it. Well, what's the next director going to say next term? This is how we interpret it. Mm-hmm. And remember, we just had a call recently from former Governor Culver saying, it says pay. I like to hear, I'm wondering if any other governor is going to say, we paid it, or say they didn't pay it.
You know, it's funny, we had former Governor Gutierrez to start the show, and Sabrina asked him, hey, were you on the double pay? And he was basically like, oh, I don't know about the double pay because, you know, Lou's going to get mad. I mean, it is what it is. That's what it was, is he didn't want to come out on the wrong side of Governor Lou.
And that's what I'm saying, Chris and Sabrina, is that the page 3 of 6 states very specifically, appointing authority shall determine. Number 2, those employees required to report to remain on duty, provide essentials, shall be paid at a double rate or granted compensatory leave credit.
Right.
Whatever it must be, it is. And then there's got to be a cap. You know, when you ask the question about the unclassified, the directions of it, that's the governor's call. If the governor wants, he can put a cap to no unclassified. I mean, if I'm correct, I think I heard recently she said unclassified employees will not, or the cabinet members will not get any hazardous pay, and then later revealed that some are going to get it.
Yeah, it was in the executive order that. But if you are exposed or to the virus, then you'll be eligible for whatever risk.
And remember, I mentioned it earlier. But you know what, Sabrina and Chris, you know, the legal opinion came out. I'm not happy with it. There's too many holes in it. And I'm not going to blame any director, because the director's going to do what they need to do to get this job done. I just turn back to Governor, and your CARES funding, you identified in the 117, you put aside $29 million for pay compensation. My recommendation is take the $29 million, pay the double pay, and then determine exactly how much more you need. You still got money after you minus the 29, and break it down, because the $36 million that they estimated was in relations to Bill 326.
Right.
I'm only talking about the double pay. I'm not talking about double pay plus 10% or plus 15 or plus 25. Simple double pay, a disaster. You declared it. The president concurred with you and declared it at the national level. Do provide just compensation. I mean, let's just do the right thing and move on. Let's not play with words, because at the end of the day, it's the employees that are suffering. And then let's move on and let's continue to take care of everybody else on Guam. Let's get this money out. Let's get this rolling. I mean, you remember just a couple of days ago, we just had a hearing that they finally released that they got 500 some million. Why didn't you tell us a month ago? I mean, tell us about what's going on. Maintain transparency.
You have to FOIA night, Senator?
Huh?
You guys have to FOIA night?
No, I'm not gonna
We're
FOIA.
transparent. Send a FOIA.
Well, I'm looking at doing, because being the chair of appropriation and in conjunction with the Office of Finance and Budgeting, when things, if push comes to shove, I try not to FOIA. That's why I ask for an opinion to start.
Right.
If I need to know about money, and if they think that you're going to wait for the FOIA, well, maybe when I see a discrepancy on the budget, I'll just ask for an oversight, and then we'll deal with it then. And if they're hesitant, then we'll attach a subpoena. We'll do what we need to do, because why? That would be our job. And if we're going to play with the FOIA, we shouldn't have to FOIA. The three branches of government need to work together, and it doesn't matter. I'm willing to work with them, but if they want to play with words, I look at the numbers, and the numbers tell me 29 million is set aside in the CARES for compensated employees. Pay the double pay then.
Okay, Senator. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right.
Wash your hands.
Take care.
Okay. It's 8:05. We're KUAM-FM. Agotnia, Guam. We're going to take a break, do the anthems, do the news, and then we've also got a Guam Visitors Bureau Board Chair Sonny Yata coming on, and I want to squeeze in a Minority Leader, Senator Tello Taidagui, and talk about that hearing yesterday where you couldn't ask any questions. I don't get it,
It was the informational briefing on COVID-19.
Right, but we're the only ones that are going to give you information. It's a one-way to... man, so we're going to talk about that coming up. It's 8:06. Again, it's the KUAM News Takeover, Guam's favorite containing COVID business.